Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to go through how to change the hue, the saturation, the levels and the colour balance so that we can adjust different layers. So we've got a Halloween scene in here which I think isn't actually that spooky yet. We want to be able to tweak it and change it until it's exactly as we want it. So if we take a look at some of the keyboard shortcuts here, things like Control M to change the curves. Let's try that. Control M. What does this do? Well, you can see how it makes it kind of overexposed or underexposed. So if you've got Pro Mode enabled on your camera, you can adjust this when you take it, but this allows you to tweak it afterwards. So I want to make it darker. Control M, let's try again. You can also change which channel you're working on, so you're only affecting the red or just the green. If I turn the green down, it's going to be more kind of spooky. But I think just Control M and underexposing it a little bit will make it look a little bit more spooky. What else do we have to play? We've got the hue, saturation and lightness. So that's Control U. So hue is like the rainbow. You can make all of the colours look weird as you shift it across in the rainbow. The saturation, think of it like extreme Donald Trump and black and white, or anything in between. So if you want it to look extremely exposed on the main pumpkin, you might want to turn the saturation up just for that pumpkin and have everything else black and white. I'll show you how you can do that in a mo. And lightness is what it sounds like. Completely white, completely black, or anything in between. So if we try and make most of it quite dark, maybe even black and white, and then just go around this pumpkin and make that colour but overexposed. Let's see if we can remember how to do it. Let's try the quick selection tool, zoom in, let's paste our selection over here to get this. Oh, too much selected, so Alt and click around the edge. Square brackets to paint our selection over here. Come on, oh, I'm unselecting. Let's add to the selection instead. There we go. Get in there. And then holding down Alt until we've got the bit selected that we want. It's not perfect, but it will do. So for now, I'm just going to put this on a separate layer. I know we've talked about masking, and masking would be better, but I'm going to Control C, Control V to paste it on a separate layer, just to show you how we could do this differently. So this layer, let's see if we can remember the keyboard shortcuts. So hue, saturation, lightness is Control U. Let's try it. Control U. Let's turn the saturation down. So it's all black and white except for that other layer. This layer, Control U, turn the saturation up, and it looks a little bit more extreme. So what else can we play around with here? We can have the levels, Control L. So maybe Control L for the levels. You can experiment with these to make it darker, or to increase the contrast, or to play around with all of these to see the exact amount of lightness that you want. What else can we play around with? Control B, colour balance. Okay, Control B, colour balance. This is more as though it's going to be printed. So inside your printer or your, like a laser printer or an inkjet printer, you will have a cyan, magenta, yellow and black cartridge, and you can shift them along to use more or less ink on each of these. There are more ones to play around with. You can click an adjustment layer on here. Oops, wrong one, sorry. Let's have a adjustment layer. Which one? You can play around with these ones. Hue, saturation, colour balance, vibrance, etc. You can play around with these. But the downside of doing these compared to the keyboard shortcuts that I've just told you are as follows. Let me show you. If I do hue and saturation here and change the saturation right up, it's not a very good one to show you. Hang on. Let's go brightness and contrast. If I turn the brightness up, it's going to affect every single layer. unless you tick this button here, and then it will only apply to the layer that you've got currently selected. But I prefer the keyboard shortcuts, and the keyboard shortcuts are Control M for curves, Control U for hue, saturation, lightness, Control L for levels, and Control B for colour balance.